this is Editing KJ with a quick note that this episode was recorded before the WGA strike and the SAG-AFTRA strikes were resolved, and in some cases possibly before the strikes began. We're super happy to be back, so please enjoy this episode. My name is KJ, and you're listening to the Supernatural Opinions podcast, where some things in this world are supernatural. My pronouns are she, they, and this is the podcast where I talk to my fellow Supernatural fans about Supernatural, and we share our Supernatural opinions. Okay, today I'm being joined by my guests Meredith, Ella, and DJ. Meredith, please remind the people who you are.
My name is Meredith. My pronouns are she, her, and I did all my notes in 30 minutes today without any research.
Excellent, that's what we like. Ella, you haven't been here in a while, so please remind the people who you are. I can't even remember the last year. It might have been season 3.
Yeah, I think it was season 3 because it was pre-cast, and that was so long ago for you now. I'm Ella. I am 1/3 of Cas Cast. She, her. Yeah, happy to be here.
We're really happy that you joined us on this cast-free episode. Not even
I love this season, and I was like, yeah, cool. Like an episode in season 4, and then when I figured out which one it was, I was like, oh, maybe the worst one, but that's fine.
I would say last episode was the worst one, but
I don't mind it, but I see why you think that. Yes,
we had fun recording.
JJ, this is your second time with us. It's so crazy. We had never recorded together 2 months ago. Now we've recorded like 3 episodes together.
Yeah, we just hit the ground running. I'm JJ, also known as jjbwaywatch. He, him pronoun. I'm on, this is the second Supernatural podcast that I've recorded today in this session. So my brain is where it's at. So
You're
I'm
in the
field. It was very emotional last session. I have an iced coffee and I'm just going to go straight off of vibes. There's no notes. There's no anything. It's vibes.
We like vibes.
We love it.
Especially for this episode, I think.
Honestly, Ella and I were talking about like organizing a time and everything. And I was like, I don't know if I really like this one either, to be super honest. And like, I didn't like last week's episode. I think I'm just grumpy. I'm really in my grumpyals. And
I like the vibes of this episode. It taps into
more.
It taps into some themes and just tropes that I enjoy.
Yeah, actually, in watching, I actually hate this. So, what do we do this
It's
week?
like a good episode of a different show.
Yes.
Yeah. But now people are like, well, maybe somebody should tell us what we're doing here. We're talking about season 4, episode 12, Criss Angel is the Douchebag, which originally aired on January 22nd, 2009. This is our new segment. The number 1 song of the week that week was Just Dance by Lady Gaga, up 1 from number 2 last week. I just feel like we really need to be studying these episodes in the cultural moment that they're.
That's great. That is so, like, that really does paint a picture of the culture.
I love that.
This was a brand new segment last episode, and last episode we went through like the top 5, and like Taylor Swift's like Love Story was at number 4, which is the highest it gets on the Billboard Hot 100, and like Kanye West was at number 5. Like it was a real, like 2009, it was very 2009.
We were in the club still.
Yeah,
I was so young and innocent. Maybe that's why 2009 was a good year.
It was truly a different time back 2009. Glee, I think, came out in 2009. Like it was a different time.
I was young, but I was jaded at that point.
But like Just Dance by Lady Gaga really feels like a good like touchstone of like where things were at. The title's a reference to Christopher Sarantakos, aka Criss Angel, a famous illusionist and entertainer. He had a show on 80 called Criss Angel Mind Freak, which was the first magic TV show in like 40 years, and it ran from 2005 to 2010. He then went on partnered with Cirque du Soleil. 2006 produced Criss Angel Leave on Stage, which opened in late 2008, which is probably why it was quite literally referenced in this early 2009 episode of Supernatural. Super famous, definitely a major inspiration.
I had never heard of him before I watched this episode.
He is really famous. Like I literally TikTok thinks that I'm really into like magic now because I was like watching some of his videos on TikTok, because that is honestly the quickest way to find his stuff.
I remember watching this episode for the first time as a teenager and looking at the title and thinking, why the hell would someone spell Criss like that? And I guess that's just how he likes it.
Yeah, it's this whole stage name thing.
Like a pretty crazy name of an episode. Like name calling a real guy.
Yeah, they really went for it. Like Criss Angel was really famous in 2008, 2009. Like I think in 2010 he was named like magician or like illusionist of like the century. Like, and he had been like of the decade and he'd been of year for like 5 or 6 years in the 20 like the odds, I guess.
Wow. It's just like I don't think they really do that again. Like
yeah, they really went for it.
There was a time, I think if this like Supernatural was again like of the moment, like they used to be really on the pulse of like what was happening in pop culture. And the last time I think they did that though was when they did the Shake It Off with moment with Taylor Swift. And, like that's the latest one that I can think of. But they used to be
in season 2 or 3. I think it was season 2. It was an Ellen and Joe episode where like they made like a Katie Holmes like Scientology reference. Like
they used to be like
and like that was really they used to really be, and I don't know if they were worried about like they would be too dated if they kept doing that. Like I don't know if like by later, since they were looking more to have like sort of like kind of take us out of the timeline or what, but like I feel like they even try to like have the kind of cultural touchstone until like maybe like season 15. There's some few Donald Trump references in the last season that were questionable.
Yeah, the presidential timeline of those last like funny.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
With that, because we've now said that, now I'm gonna give we're not gonna do spoilers for the episode. So
I'm sorry. Totally threw a spoiler in there.
It's all good. No, it's all good. I don't think any of that is gonna be making anybody like flip a table or very upset that we've ruined.
If it does make you flip a table, you've got bigger problems.
I mean, Jensen Ackles is walking outside wearing a Dean Winchester's era shirt. So like
I feel like
I think we're good. We're good.
Like I think we're covered. But this episode will contain spoilers for this episode and may reference previous episodes. Will not contain any more spoilers for later episodes of Supernatural. This episode was written by my personal chaos gremlin, Julie, and directed by Robert Singer. Julie Siege is a story editor this whole season, and this was her second writing credit. She wrote 407, It's the Great Pumpkin, Sam Winchester. I think personally it's a better episode than this one, but that's okay. They can't all be.
This feels like an episode written by a chaos gremlin.
And Robert Singer, of course, is also very familiar to us last year for season 4, episode 5, Monster Movie. Again, not my favorite episode. If you remember, listeners, I did super enjoy that one, but I found things to like about it, and I think I found things to like about this one as well. Because one of them is the direction. Actually, I think that there are some really great shots this episode. Let's episode rating. Meredith, what would you like to rate this episode?
As I mentioned earlier, it does have some themes and tropes that I really enjoy. So, but I also like it isn't an episode I think about very often. So maybe like a 7.
Fair. JJ, what would you like to rate
I would rate this like it's like 3 Taco Bell tacos, but not Doritos Locos tacos, just the regular ones. And so you wish it was something else.
But you're still full.
Yeah,
like,
you're still full at the end. You still ate Taco Bell and got your Taco Bell fix, but it wasn't what you wanted.
That's fair. Ella, how about you?
I think I rate it like it's like a 2 out of 5 for a Supernatural episode, but it's like a solid 3.5 out of 5 for like, I don't know, The Mentalist or Monk or something like that. One of those mid 2000s.
Yeah, but those don't really deal with supernatural concepts, and this one does.
Yeah, but like if you just change the
entertainment.
ending and like it was actually just like there was a guy running around committing murders the whole time, it could just be one of those shows. The piano and everything even felt like those scores.
I feel like with that in mind, this would fit on The Mentalist.
Yeah, I didn't think that I liked this episode, and I usually skip it in any rewatches I'm doing of this season, but I had a good enough time watching it, so like 6 out of 10. Like I didn't like hate my life while I was watching it.
When I went in to watch it, it was like I had started the ep and then skipped it, because like usually when we're covering the episodes, like sometimes I'll watch the in-between ones to like still understand what's happening to Sam and Dean. But this one I was like, nothing's happening. But that made me totally forget like the Ruby plot.
There was a Ruby aspect that was and it's not an unimportant thing. Sorry, Jada.
Okay. When I first watched the show, it took me like every single season the first 3 took me a long time to get through, and then season 4 hit and I was like, oh, and I like sped run season 4, and then this episode was the stopping point where I like was like, and I'm good for today, and I like watched. This was the one where I was like, and now I'm no longer interested, and I'm gonna put this off for a couple little while, and then I jumped back in, and then the rest of the binged again. So it was like this was the one that like stopped the binge.
Yeah, I mean, after this, I feel like this season starts to it's on an upturn after this, I think, but I really don't like 411, and then I just like not super interested in this one, so like having them back to back
mid-season slump.
Yeah, I think that Supernatural, I don't think Supernatural would do super great. I've thought a lot about this lately as like a 10 episode series, but I think it would do really great as like 16 to 18 episodes. Like, a couple of filler episodes, but not like 4 or 5. Just to, I think it's good to have like just like a little Sam and Ruby plot, but like also like the rest of the episode doesn't matter. Put that Sam and Ruby plot in any episode and it's probably not much different.
Maybe they got a network note that was like, you need to have a more like thing that people can just jump in kind of episode, like because this season
I think
is
they
so
just had
plot heavy.
to fill 22 episodes. Like they just like that's how many episodes a season of television has. That's how many we gotta spread the plot out.
They should just be following Cas around. What's he up to right now?
I know, we haven't Cas in forever.
When was the last time we saw
Oh,
Cas?
sad.
410 when we had the whole Anna
Only
thing.
like 2
Haven't-
episodes, not quite forever.
Yeah, we were a little mad at him for trying to kill Anna and then he hasn't come back.
He's going through it,
Hasn't shown his
okay?
face since.
That feels like a great segue into the death count, actually. This week we saw 3 deaths, bringing our on-screen total to 299, and the on-off total for this episode was also just those 3. So that totals now 1,949, give or take. And angelic deaths, we still have no word on angelic death or any other death in Heavenly Host, but like Ruby gave us a seals update and things are not going well, so we can assume that there will be reports of angelic deaths imminently. The seals update was bad.
Oh, whoops.
Okay, now this is my editing KJ where we're gonna flunk the recap, but we're gonna move on recording KJ to our end segment. On to the recap. Off the top, trigger warning for suicide this episode before we get started. There's several discussions about it. And
You're very thoughtful of those kind of things. Me and my co-hosts always talk about that, and then we're like, I think the concept of our show is so silly, and we take it quite silly that like no one's really coming to it like with a heavy mindset. So we've been very uneven of trigger warning. So I like that you
I have
do
so
that.
many guests on all the time, and like you never know like what turn a conversation is gonna take, like what we're gonna really dive into. I just feel like it's just safer, and also like some people haven't watched the episodes in a while, and like they maybe forget, like, and then
It's very
like,
responsible
I just
of
don't want to
you.
like blindside anybody.
Especially on this show.
Yeah, the show provided recap in this episode is all about Sam and his powers and me, and I was like watching it, I was like, is there any Ruby or like is Sam doing anything this episode? It turned out like a little bit, yes, but I was like, is there anything about this episode that has anything to do with this? But then we open with an older magician, Jay, at a bar doing magic tricks for the young bartender, and he's being heckled by a younger magician.
What a
named
magician
Van.
name.
And yeah, his name's Patrick Vance. Obviously, he goes by.
He was on a series of unfortunate.
Was
yeah,
really? The
the show.
He's also on another episode.
Who was
the guy that died. See, but anyway,
Okay.
actually with the Amazon mention.
It's been a while since I watched that whole show. I love it. Then Jay is with 2 of his colleagues, Charlie and Vernon, and they're watching a rehearsal of a younger magician, Jeb, who's like a Criss Angel stand-in. He dresses like Criss Angel. Meredith, this is exactly what Criss Angel is.
Actually, that was the series guy, the little goth.
Yeah.
Okay. I was about to say, I was like, I don't
yeah.
recognize that.
I got them
missed that.
confused. They have like similar vibes.
They look really similar. I had to go back and show they were full at first, and then obviously we saw this up again. And all of the like Jay and Charlie and Vernon all call him a douchebag. There's a lot of use of the word douchebag in this episode. And like that's a word that I don't feel like I hear a lot more, but I definitely heard a lot in like 2009. That might have been because I was in middle 2009 though, so like that just might be like where the kids were at developmentally.
That checks out.
I feel like I still hear it a lot, but I don't know. A lot of swear words have staying power. Like I think like that if they sound good, they kind of stay in vogue for a while.
I mean, fair enough, as they should. But yeah, it's just one I feel like I don't hear a lot. Jay is really fucking real. He's like, we're old and sad and dying. Like he is like 100% just like in his
Relatable.
feels. And he's gonna do something called the Table of Death tonight. And even if it kills him, at least it will make a headline. And I'm like, oh boy, that is
Jay.
not that is that's not a good
Therapy.
attitude. And I can't believe that Charlie and Vernon like didn't like force him to like not form that.
I mean,
night, but
Charlie's got a whole thing going on. Vernon, however.
hindsight is 2020, I feel like, but
Check in on your friends, y'all.
yeah, if your friends are saying shit like that, maybe just like have a little like heart and they're doing okay.
This seems real for like some
Men.
boomer American
Yeah.
dudes.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Boomer men. Maybe that's how we got to this point.
I mean, like, not to get too real, but like boomers are like experiencing homelessness at like a shocking rate as like
that is very real.
KJ, we were having fun. We were having fun with a bit of intergenerational
I'm fine.
teasing.
Talk about your feelings, or you'll end up like these guys.
Yeah,
I think that's what we're going for
here.
here.
It's fine. It's fine. So we had to Jay's show, and both of the like friends are like not sure he's gonna be able to slip these like handcuffs. They're like, these are really tight. But like the reason that they're thinking that, and they're correct, that like Jay's absolutely planning on dying. Like that is 100% the plan. As the swords fall, Vance, the young magician that was like heckling Jay at the bar, suddenly dies of like unexplained stab wounds in the middle of the street, and Jay gets out of the trick and lives. So that's suspicious. Don't even worry about it. Totally normal.
On this show, yeah.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Jeff Dexter, the young guy that they all call the douchebag, is out on the street doing magic, which is exactly how Criss Angel works. Like Criss Angel is always like on a street corner or a rooftop or somewhere where there's like an audience, where people are, but not like a gathering of people that are there to see him. Like he's always just out on like the street or like at a hotel or something, like doing magic.
This is such a random thing, I thought, and I could not find any evidence for it, but I swear I'm right or I'm having a stroke. So in the crowd of people that are like watching him, I swear, do you guys know America's Next Top Model, how they used to like have challenges where it would be like an acting challenge and the actors would like be in an episode of like Veronica Mars or something like that, like a CW show? I swear to God that two of the girls in the crowd are like from America's Next Top Model, but in like the 10 minutes I had spare between watching this episode and coming to this recording, I couldn't find anything. And then I was like I'll look on IMDb, but they're not credited because they're just like extras and they don't speak. But I swear to God, I know that
someone help, because now I'm invested.
I'm gonna maybe like around when this episode originally aired in 2009. Let us know if that is a thing that is happening here, because I would love to know. That definitely was a thing, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know if Supernatural ever did it, but I mean, I just know other
and like other CW shows. So like I feel like CW, as much as Supernatural, like to say that they were like the bad kids, the back of the class of CW, you know, they still in the class of the CW.
Yeah, I feel crazy. Like, but I was like, I just needed to let you guys know that that's my head's at as we're talking about this.
This feels like the episode for your head to be somewhere weird.
Sam recognizes Jeb, and Dean also calls him a douchebag.
On that note, this was very fun while it lasted.
Yeah.
See ya.
Jeb fakes a seizure / possession really badly. And then Sam's a magic fan, which I think is one of my new favorite Sam fun facts that we've learned so far in the first 4 seasons. Like 13-year-old Sam was into magic. That's so cute.
It is fun. I like it how it kind of ties to no spoilers, but the future of his characterization. I think it's kind of fun little start of that.
Sam's got like, I like that like baby Sam had like lots of fun little like nerdy hobbies.
Well, it's much better than when the show first started. We all know Bugs is a bad episode, but in Bugs he was a state soccer champion, and they try to make that as his like outcast trait. They totally could have just said that he was into magic, and like that would have made sense for 2005 to be like his I like card tricks and stuff, and like that's very 2005. Instead it was like, I know what it feels like to be an outcast kid. I was a state soccer champion. I like athlete jock. I just, and my family just didn't understand me. It's like, really?
I feel like, it's supposed, like, that was definitely supposed to be like, oh, like, look how weird the family is, like a like Munsters kind of deal.
It just didn't land. So like having him having this little nerdy little hobby, absolutely great. It's really like an example of when his characterization makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe they were trying to fit it to Jared Padalecki, and they were like, this guy's like 7 foot tall, like he had to play the sport, right? But then the rest of Sam's characterization is just like a witch, like he's just such a nerd.
Dean's very offended by the idea of like fake magic when there's real magic out there.
He's a purist. Okay. we know this about him. He's a purist.
Like, you don't even really want real magic to exist either. Like, you're just grumpy, but I like that grumpy.
It's funny that he doesn't like magic, because he loves like TV and movies and that kind of world.
I think he just doesn't believe that there is any such thing as like real magic, like a good sense. Like all magic, like not just corruptible, but like it gets bad. It's hard. Which I feel like he expresses it this episode as well. But yeah, anyway, Vance, the dead magician, is having his things packed up by his assistant, who found a tarot card of swords. I couldn't tell how many swords in his cape. My big concern in this scene was that she hacks the bunny rabbit into duffel bag, because that's definitely not a safe or comfortable way to transport a living creature, and we don't even get to find out the bunny.
Sad.
How dare you show me a cute bunny and not be like, this is the bunny, his name is whatever. But also, like, put him in a separate case. Like, they make really cute, like, transportable pet carriers to have.
Also, another example.
That seems like an error.
I was supposed to say another example of Supernatural needing to apologize to every single, like, another religion and, like, tarot cards and, like, what they actually mean versus the use in the show. Another example.
Oh, yeah. Right now, they're like, which pictures match?
Like, that's not how that worked. Okay.
Our listeners obviously know that, like, we record a lot with Saving People Queering Things, and they have a tarot card section where they, like, assign a random tarot card each episode, explain how it might apply as, like, part of their theme for the episode. And, like, I was like, oh man, I should have talked to Dana before I did my notes. Find out what all of these tarot cards actually do. Also, I could have pulled out my Supernatural tarot deck, the book, any of these.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's funny that there is no tarot deck.
I have it, and it's so cute.
Yeah, my friend was like, do you want it? Because, like, as a birthday present, I was like, no, I don't need more, please. I merged out.
Whoever did the art for they're beautiful. Anyway, Vance hated card tricks, which is why part of the reason why he was such a jerk to Jay. I mean, also he didn't be a jerk. He doesn't card trick. He could have not, but part of the reason was that he doesn't card trick. And Jay's in his motel, and his best friend Charlie comes by to find out how the hell he did the table of death and to die. And Jay's in an incredible mood and wants a trick called the Executioner, which Charlie says Houdini would try, and that's how we know that it's serious shit, because everybody knows Houdini. Jay insists that it wasn't luck that he did the table of death, and Charlie's like, well, I'm not gonna watch you die. I'm not coming to the show. But Jay insists that Charlie's gonna be there and he's gonna pull it off, and he pulls all 4 aces in the deck, and, like, the ace of hearts in Charlie's pocket as, like, proof. God, top level. It is kind of cute, like, but it's not great overall for the overall situation. Criss Angel wannabe Jev is annoyed as fuck that Criss Angel is in LA doing Cirque du Soleil as he has to interview Jay. And then there's another Jev Spag joke. At this point, I was like, okay, we can stop. We get it.
Yeah. Like, imagine that you're, like, a celebrity and a TV show that you have nothing to has a whole episode Angel, where the theme,
like,
yeah, like,
Criss Angel must have
did
signed
Criss
up
Angel
on this.
do anything? I don't know. I don't know how that works, because I think if you're a celebrity that, like, I think your name is, like, free game, right? Like, I think
feel
just
like,
referencing
yeah,
you
but
is
I don't know. I feel like he's still probably the Supernatural, like, fan, or not fandom, but like, the Supernatural legal team, like, did take their shit pretty seriously in terms of that. Like, there was an episode that was supposed to be called one of the Anna episodes was supposed to be called, like, Hell's Angels or something like that, and the Hell's Angels didn't like it. I mean, obviously the Hell's Angels are, like, a little bit, like, rough and tumble, not people you want mad at you, but, like, they did change it.
Yeah, but I think maybe Hell's Angels is probably, like, a company name as well.
I guess that's
like,
true. They are technically an organization. Yeah, I don't know if Criss Angel could have been mad, but maybe they just asked him, and maybe he was cool with it.
That was also during the time where it was like any press is good press kind of thing. So saying that Criss Angel was a douchebag isn't necessarely a bad thing for Criss Angel.
Yeah, and, like, he was at the height of his career, so he probably didn't care. But I would like to know if anybody does know. I feel like some website was screamed at me if, like, Criss Angel had sued them.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be, like, a common Supernatural fact.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Charlie and Jay's friend Vern says no longer perform, but point Dean to a guy on Bleecker Street that Vance crossed. And that's when Dean finds himself in a sketchy ass neighborhood looking for the chief, where he's led to a basement, advised not to touch anything, and then another door opens and a large man in leather comes out, and it's clearly some sort of, like, BDSM club situation. And the chief's, like, really nice. He asks for Dean's safe word before they get started.
We have a quick cut after that, and so we don't actually know what happened. There's no evidence that Dean didn't stay and enjoy his time.
Yeah, you can really interpret that moment up to you, however you would like.
Gap.
Yep, I'm I definitely have seen fan fiction that fills that gap. Sam, meanwhile, is researching at the motel when Ruby shows up and tells us that 34 seals have been broken. The angels are losing, and she wants Sam to do something, but he doesn't know where to start. 34 seals is a lot of fucking seals.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what our last like seals number update was, but I don't think it was 34.
So I understand that there are more than 99 seals, and that's why
there are like they have to break 66, and I feel like there are. Anna told us there was
600. That's what it is.
Which feels like a bad fucking system.
Yeah.
It's just like devil's number wordplay,
This
I
seems
guess.
like an unfair system to begin with now. Like, it's just like, oh,
yeah,
this is unfair.
I mean, by the end of the season, we're going to find out there's a very specific first and last seal. So, like, you have to start and end with specific ones. But I feel like that's too many in the middle. I feel like they're, like, okay, like, have, like, half that would still feel like a lot. But, like, yeah, and I don't know, 34, to have lost 34 over the course of 12 episodes, like, feels,
I guess,
man.
Like, don't even try at that point. Like, how are you supposed to stop?
I feel like we need to be asking the
massacres in
angels
other
more
countries and stuff.
questions. Like, I feel like we've just kind of at this point been like, the angels will tell us when they need us. I feel like at this point we need to be like, okay, clearly you're not.
Clearly we need to do something.
This.
Half of the seals are done.
Yeah.
Like, we're halfway done. We need to do something about this.
It just feels like, you know, some more charge to be taken by the Winchesters on this, because clearly the angels aren't getting shit done. Ruby wants Sam to go after Lilith. He's the only one that can stop her, and he says he's really game to that. He doesn't care about using his powers or not using them. He just wants Lilith dead. But there's something else that he does have a problem with, and Ruby's like, well, you really like that. Doesn't have time to not do it, because people are gonna die which is like a lot of people, not one or two, but like Ruby says oceans of people. And she says, let me know when you're ready to like take this seriously, and she storms out in true Ruby fashion.
She's just so calculated whenever she's talking to him. She has an answer for everything. Like, she's just ready to like
and
whatever thing.
Obviously the implication there is like that somehow them having sex is like powering Sam up, and as far as we know, that's what we know up to this point. But yeah, that's when Ruby does the phrase like cut the head off snake, and then Sam turns around and says that exact thing later. Dean meets Sam, and they're in their like little fed threads, and Vernon and Charlie are really worried about their friend, and they're also really amused that they pulled that trick on Dean and called their brothers back out on their fake bed, because
I love this. I totally like, I feel like
this.
Yeah, it does not happen enough, and it's great that they're just like, no way, you guys.
Yeah, like we've seen a few things, and so then they're like, okay, yeah, you got us. We're actually aspiring magicians, and we're like trying to come up with a routine. Whatever.
That was something they could have gone. That was one choice that they made. You don't have a backup plan. You're telling me out of all this time, you've never been caught before.
Also so sketchy based on what happens later in the episode too. Like legally, things are not going well for the Winchesters. Jeb is up in his room practicing when Jay starts the execution, and he's got 60 seconds to get out of a straitjacket, take the noose off of his neck, or else he'll die. And then a phantom noose hangs Jeb, and Jay survives. Like, Dean is amazed. He's like, "Wow, that guy did it." And Sam's like, "Yeah, but that wasn't humanly possible." I know a little bit about magic, and I know that was not actually possible. Then they're back at the motel. Sam's researching Jay, and they theorize using real magic to like make a career comeback. And this is when Dean says that he hopes that he dies before he gets old. And I'm just like, shut up, Dean. You were just dead. It's been 12 episodes. You are neck deep still in the hell trauma. Do not speak to me of you die. And then they have a really serious conversation. Sam doesn't say anything for like a long time, and then asks if they'll die before they get old, or if they'll be chase demons when they're 60. Again, 60's not that old. Dean first says that they've both already died young, and they'll both be dead for good before they reach. And like, Bobby's about to be 60. He's born in 1950, so he's like 58 or 59. And although they don't say it, I like it's a testament to the respect they have for Bobby that Bobby is old. And they don't expect to get old themselves. Like, Sam does bring Bobby up as a hope that they could get older. He isn't that old. But Dean says Bobby has aged very gracefully. And Gordon and Travis, I don't even remember who the fuck Travis was, to be honest.
I have no
are more
idea.
likely examples. Obviously in Gordon's case, like getting so angry and jaded, and one day just like not being fast enough. I didn't think Gordon was that old, but I guess like he was supposed to be about John's age. John was 50, but Sterling K. Brown is just so young looking that I just didn't really peg him as old.
I think he was maybe just like in his 30s or so. Like he
Yeah,
wasn't. I don't think he was like
he
the
wasn't
next
much older
generation.
than Dean, I
No.
don't think. Like Sterling K.
I'm
Brown
looking
is-
up Travis.
Sterling K. Brown isn't even 50 now. This was like 20 years ago.
Yeah, so he was like in his early.
Yeah, like Sterling K. Brown is literally 47.
Okay, so Travis is from the episode Metamorphosis. I think he's like the guy who's like trying to kill the sorry, I can't read the Rougarou.
Oh yeah,
Like, he's
that
the
guy.
hunter?
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense. Oh yeah, getting so angry and jaded and like not being fast enough, and then like the thing that you've dedicated your whole life to killing kills you. Yeah, okay. So Gordon and Travis together in that context does.
Yeah.
Sam says maybe they'll be different, and Dean just asks what Kool-Aid Sam's drinking. I don't like Jonestown because I get it was 2009, but I throw it back, right?
It was definitely a
Yeah,
choice.
God.
Sam asks what if they could win, and he wishes there was a way that they could, quote, cut the head off the snake, which is exactly the words Ruby used. And Dean's like, there are 1,000 more heads, more demons, and Sam's really put out by that. I do think killing Lilith would help them quite a lot, but I also think there would still be more demons after. I just think that, like, in terms of like the immediate apocalyptic danger that they're in, killing Lilith would be helpful.
Yeah, it seems like the way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does feel like a good end goal to have at this point. Like, if we're thinking about what can we actively do to help, that does feel like what we do.
Sam's just has that-
Anyway,
Ruby's very
Just has
keen
that
on it.
moral righteousness that you kind of want to punch in the face though about. That's
I mean,
that's
it's
my.
gonna get him in. It's always gonna get him in
It's always
trouble.
going to get him in trouble. And I think Dean knows that. I feel like Dean's like, your moral righteousness is showing. Yeah, we gotta calm down. We gotta back up. We gotta back up.
Dean's the only one allowed to be morally righteous. Okay?
Literally.
Around here.
Righteous man, literally.
Yeah. Dean is on the scene as Jeb's body is removed from the hotel, and Sam arrives in my favorite brown Sam jacket. Cute little Carhartt jacket.
Oh, yeah?
Looks cute. Dean finds another tarot card. It's the Hanged Man, and then they make the connection between people being dicks to Jay and then dying in ways that Jay should have died. And Sam was tailing Jay, but he slipped. Sam's notice, because he does magic and shit. Jay arrives at his motel room, and Sam and Dean confront him at gunpoint. Because they're subtle like that. They agree that something's not right with how Jay is talking, and the fact that Jay does magic on them and get away. So they tie Jay to a chair and huddle across the room to argue, and the camera like spins around them, like close up on them while they talk. And you guessed it, they took their eyes off the hostages, and he's gone.
Surprise, surprise.
If you tie someone to a chair, someone should be watching them at all times. That is my like supernatural PSA of the show.
I feel
It's
like
really
at
bad.
this point, that joke, like, that was like a very self-aware like thing from the writers, I feel like. to be
Yeah,
like,
and there's
of
a
course
point in
this
like
guy is
seasons
out.
9 and 10 where like there was like it probably happened like 6 times over like 12 or 20 episodes that somebody was tied to a chair and then got out because the person tied to a chair like went to a different room or like wasn't paying. I was like, okay, that's literally why this exists.
Yeah, I'm sure you get this all the time, but I'm so excited for when you're done with the show because you're gonna have this great like data set to look at. It'll be good.
But Jay calls the police on the men who held him at gunpoint and tied him to a chair, obviously. And this is the first time Sam and Dean have had trouble with the law in like a while, and like I'm surprised nothing
Yeah.
comes of it. Actually, this must be a small town where they don't have like a great tech setup. Like they can't do like a fingerprint database thing because like the last time that Sam and were in trouble with the law was like Victor Hendrickson and like the FBI were after them and like fake died.
Yeah.
Like it's been a hot minute.
You can tell the moments where the writers just got tired of like dealing with the world that they created, and they're just like,
Yeah.
no law, no longer a problem. They're fine. They're fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's not even gonna be a
No
problem.
issue.
One of my like major gripes is that like the show is so bad at wrapping that up because like there's like 10 different things they could have done instead of what they to do, which is just like it's
Just
fine.
if they died doesn't mean that they're not still gonna show up in a database the next time they get arrested. Like,
Yeah, just like I don't know. I'm trying to like is Victor around?
No,
I can't
he's
remember where
dead.
you're up to. Okay, cool.
he didn't make it out of
I was
season
like-
3.
Yeah, I was like I couldn't remember what season that was because it's Lilith, so I was like
Yeah, that was
um,
last season and last Ruby.
yeah. Right.
That was little girl Lilith,
with,
not grown
like,
adult woman Lilith.
Yeah.
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 I think that like it would have been so easy for them to just be like, oh, Victor knows about the supernatural and he's high up in the FBI. He can like manipulate it from the inside, and then that would have just been the end of that. But I don't know, he's a black guy, so he had to die, I guess, in the show.
You're not wrong. Oh no, speaking of tallies, when I watched it for the first time, I did it. It was like there in the first like 6 seasons, there are 6 recurring black characters, or 6 major black characters, not recurring, but like 6 important black characters. 5 of them are villains, 5 of them are men, 1 of them is a woman, and all 4 of them die. And I think 1 lived and then he eventually dies later. But something like that. I did a tally once, and it was literally like, yeah, it was rough.
We'll have to cut this bit, but we just did Ruth's death like towards the end of 6, like so.
Yeah, apologize for the spoiler that you'll have to cut out.
No, it's fine. I'll
Yes.
cut it
Oh
out.
no, it was for even longer because I included like I think Poodle.
Yeah.
There's only like 6 recurring.
There's not a
There's
lot.
only 6 recurring.
It's not great. We had one of our very first discussion episodes was about like it wasn't supposed to be, but it was about like the Winchesters like having white privilege stuff, and it became like because if they weren't white, then like all of these like gun shit and like crossing state lines, the FBI and all the like hostage police shootout situations they're in, it wouldn't go well.
They also like there were so many opportunities for them to be more self-aware about it. Like I think of characters like Buffy, where like her gender and age is like a kind of subversive thing in terms of people underestimate her and da. So it's very much like in the tech that like she has privilege in that way. And so I think it's funny because like obviously that show's older and it's really influential, this show, that they just didn't take it that step further, and they weren't willing to go, yeah, that's why these guys can get away with everything. They're like over 6 foot, good looking, like white dudes in America. They can do whatever they want.
The number of like young, like alone or like alone with children women that they approach as like these like 2 huge men like in parks, or like knock on their doors and like are allowed into a conversation or into their homes terrifies me.
Yeah. It would have been fun if it's like we can suspend our disbelief point, but so it's, I don't know.
But yeah, like of course no wonder Jay called the police on these two men. Like they
held
him at gunpoint and tied him to a chair with no real explanation, and they said all kinds of crazy stuff about magic. Like of course he called the fucking police on them. Anyways, Charlie and Jay are then backstage and they're ranting about this whole salmon situation, but Jay is starting to have some like doubts that maybe something is up and he doesn't maybe want to go on tonight. But Charlie's like, it's a sold out house, you have to go out. And again, we have to be able to separate our own self-worth and identity from a crowd. Like that's like if you're not feeling like something's right, like to just like say something's not right and not go on. Jay then admits that he was planning to kill himself during the table of death stunt, and he doesn't know how he got out. And Charlie's like, you were incredible in your day and the best that I ever saw. It doesn't matter how you got it back. I feel young, do so well again. And
foreshadowing.
Pain, just pain.
Yeah, and then cut to the show. Jay's doing the table of death again, and Charlie slips away from Vern, and then someone screams because Charlie's died in a table of death like way, the same as Patrick Van. And Jay drops the charges. Sam and Dean come by because they've gotten out of jail, and they say thank you and are like, why'd you do that? Charlie and Jay had been friends for like over 50 years, and they were way more than friends. Charlie was like his big brother and wanted to do whatever they do to find the killer. And he tells some like story about like Meredith's grave because it's very
do you think they ever explode each other's bodies?
Charlie and Jay, I actually did think that a little bit during the whole
very
like
passionate relationship.
During the whole like seeing you do so well like makes me feel young again. That did feel a little bit.
They had a summer romance like in their mid-20s, never talked about again, but like always under
and
current.
just like they're definitely like Vernon is just there, and like the two of them are in this very close friendship, and like Vernon's just there because he's always been there.
Mates.
Yeah.
That is honestly what it does feel like. But they frame it as big brother, little brother because it's supernatural, and they like to make that line thin as possible. We're gonna make this a little bit like homoerotic, and we're also gonna parallel them to salmon because that's what this show does.
They based it off of On the Road, which was a homoerotic novel, and consequences. There
was an episode we recorded not too long ago where Meredith and I, we just got like throw our hands up there, but it's actually not that hard to not do it.
Yeah, not that hard. Really not that difficult.
really hard for this show, but like we tried to think of another show that's like casual, seemingly not totally on purpose. It's just the way Supernatural does, and like couldn't.
Yeah,
like,
I had to.
Oh, I was just gonna say, what's even crazier is that like they admit it. Like the writers and creators have admitted, like, yeah, there's weird homoerotic subtext between the two of them. We're not gonna address, like, we're not gonna do anything about it. It's just there, and you're like,
yeah, Crookie's like specifically been like, yeah, I seem to just like always write things that are homoerotic. I'm not sure what that's about. But I recently
in the pre-cast seasons were like just waiting for a reveal that they weren't really brothers. Like, of course, people were expecting that. Like,
yeah, I just had to explain to a friend what Wincest was because she brought up Ethel Cain, and I was like, haha, Ethel Cain is like on Supernatural Tumblr, kind of. I don't know if you guys know that or know anything about Ethel Cain, but she's posted about how she used to like read Wincest or something. And so I was like, oh, I feel a bit different about Ethel Cain after I know some more things about her from Supernatural. I was like, I like her, but you know,
this is so pervasive. I was watching Crush on D+. It's that queer movie, and like there's a full
oh my god, that scene made me so mad. I didn't watch the whole movie, but like someone was talking about that, and I was just like, no.
Movie. I was like, oh my god,
it's so frustrating. I don't love that movie. I have a weird relationship with that movie, but I love Lee Carvalho, so I like am invested in that movie. And when that moment happened, I literally threw my hands up in the air and walked out of the room. I was like, I'm done. I can't.
You can't. It's like you can't invoke that word. Like you can't invoke that situation without all the lore. Like there's just my friend was very upset about it.
You know, I feel like that was too recent of a movie for me to be expecting to get hit with a Wincest joke. It's not like a movie that came out in like 2010 to 2015. Like it just came out fairly recently.
Yeah, someone in that writing team is on Supernatural Tumblr. You know what I mean? Like
definitely.
It's very
And they read Wincest, and now they're a little ashamed, and they wanted to like make a joke about it to like absolve themselves. That is what happened.
Yeah.
Just read whatever fanfic you like, and don't subject everyone.
Just don't tell anyone.
Eric Creepy.
You don't have to tell us.
Oh, I am positive. I'm so fascinated because I almost sure that this has happened. That there was a day where some of the writers just sat around and like traded fan fiction with each other. And
I'm gonna have to cut this out, but like definitely when they wrote the script for 418, like they definitely must have been on there.
They had to
write a whole scene explaining what slashfic was.
Like what were you reading in order to write the several references that you read?
I mean, if I wrote anything that people knew about, like I would definitely read the fanfic about it. I would read all of the fanfic about it. And if there
I need the fanfic that I'm in. I need the someone wrote a fanfic of
someone sent me the fanfic about JJ.
I know that I have seen a screenshot of part of it, so I know that it exists. But somebody wrote a fanfic of the character that I made on TikTok of Misha Collins' PA. And,
yes, of course.
The character that Misha Collins plays in Bridgewater, his TA, Jeremy. Whatever. Yeah, what's his face? Yeah. Someone wrote a fan. I've been made aware of it, and like I was like in the comment section, I was like, "Oh, tell me about it," and they were like, "Oh no." And then I've gotten screenshots of them existing. There's like multiple of them where the two of them get together and are
/JJ. Oh my god,
I can't find it. I know that it exists. I think that it exists in like Discord servers, and that's the only place that it exists. But
Discord servers have a containment leak. Send it directly to me.
I would like to read these, please. I just because it's not me, it's a character that I created. I feel a little bit better about that. But like it is me, and I would like to. I'm fascinated, and I want the full stories.
We had a fan fiction episode at the start of us in the Rita discussion, and Burke was on. And I didn't even ask Burke, but about the fanfic about her, I never even thought to ask her. Now I'm really bad that I did.
Just fanfics about real people. I wonder if there's just a supernatural fic about JJ, the character that I created. But
I mean, I hope. I also feel weird about real person fiction. So I kind of not, but like I just feel like if there was fanfic about me, I would be reading it.
I don't know how I feel about RPF. Like I have complicated feelings about RPF, but I feel a little bit better because it was like a character I created, not necessarily a real person.
Yeah, not you.
So I feel
KJ, you could I was just gonna say you could do a whole episode on like supernatural next to fan fiction like within universe, not just necessarily like fan fiction.
Yeah.
Separately.
I mean, we probably should, honestly.
Truly.
I feel like we need to get back on track.
The biggest
no, that was a great tangent, and I'm gonna keep as much of it in there as I can.
Someone send me the fic. Yeah, send me if you wrote it, send it to me.
We want to read it.
I know it exists.
We've got just like fan art that people have made that it's like about something said, and that feels so magical. So like someone spending the time writing something is just like, oh my god,
yeah,
that's awesome.
Also, I feel like I see for listeners that Ella's wearing a Led Zeppelin t-shirt, and I just realized like 3 seconds ago that JJ is wearing a Speak Now cardigan.
The stars gave me away. It's like
and like
the two types of Supernatural fans. It's like I need to point out that I'm not wearing this in a I love Led Zeppelin way. I'm wearing this in a Disney bounding Dean Winchester cosplay.
I'm also Disney bounding Dean Winchester.
I just purchased my second Sam Winchester the Heiress tour t-shirt. Like I own 2 of them now.
Nice.
And I feel like that is where my personality lies.
I was catching up with friends a couple days ago, and I just kind of chucked on a shirt because it was hot, and I was like, oh, I don't want to get sunburned. I'm just gonna wear like a big t-shirt. And it said are you up to Ghostface?
Yeah, we passed.
Yeah. It said like gay love can pierce through the veil of death and save the day. And my friend was just like, what is that shirt from? And I was like, there's like 10 layers to explain what this means and why I bought it.
Yeah.
But,
I'm a Freedom is like the rope, like Castiel t-shirt, and every once in a while I go to put on it, like, no, I have to go out today. Like,
yeah.
I feel like just wearing a t-shirt that's like Freedom's like the rope. Go onto your hangers. I'm a little much.
I have thankfully avoided owning any Supernatural merch because I know once I start, I'm not going to stop. And I thankfully I put that barrier. It's like, no, you cannot spend money on merch for this show. You cannot. It's taken too much emotional. It's too much of an emotional cost. It cannot also be financial.
I feel like I need to do an episode about the Supernatural merch I have because like I don't know. The people on Etsy are really creative and I love them.
Yeah, I feel like I only have fan made merch. I don't have any official stuff.
I mean by the time I was at the point where I was buying merch, Supernatural had end though there wasn't much in the way of official
I
merch.
personally like really don't like the graphic design aesthetic of like and stuff like that. I think it's just because I studied design and like I just have a certain
the box
taste
set, so mine are like all like in what like 2 boxes like or 3 boxes and they all like match stuff and like they're in the
I've been picking them up at like op shops
box set.
So they're all like different. Yes,
and like it's like the nice box set with like apocalyptic sunset like
yeah, that's all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
I have a massive clickbait cowboy Dean and Cas print that my friend sent me like from across the seas for my birthday. It was just like it's a massive print. But my mum came to visit and I had like all my Cas stuff up where I could, and I had to like move everything, and I just like put a different poster on top of it because I was like, I can't explain this. Like I can't explain away. But yeah, there's so much good art.
I will say one of the best purchases I made this year was my Destiel like art calendar from Jackie Art.
Yeah,
sure you've seen it on TikTok. Lots of people own it. It just makes me happy once a month to get a new piece of Dean Cas art. Anyway, this episode we're not done with it.
Oops.
I don't remember what we were doing, but we were. Anyway, Sam asked if Vernon and Charlie get along because no one else close to Jay and would want Jay to seed. And Dean's like, real magic is really addictive. We'll do really surprising things once they get a magic. And then there's a very tasteful shot of Sam's face just thrown in there on the end of that sentence.
A little
subtle.
Sprinkle a little bit of foreshadowing.
Also, speaking of Buffy, it's big Willow energy.
Yeah.
Also, like Jean literally says like magic crack. That's that in the back pocket of Sam's holster. Vernon's watching TV and Jay calls and says he has something to tell Jay. And so Vernon leaves and Sam and Jean are waiting so to break into his house and go through his stuff. Jean notes that like Vernon has a lot of stuff in his room, and Sam's like, he traveled his whole life, probably everything he owns in there. And I'm like, that sounds familiar because everything you guys own in the car. They should really own more stuff, but everything they own is a freaking car. Let's not think too hard about this.
There's some parallels between these characters.
I wonder if that was intentional.
Is shocked that Jay is upset about Charlie and doesn't want to perform tonight. And then Jay accuses Vernon, but it wasn't him. Welcome, surprise, to just man number 4, but really back to number 3. Enter young Charlie. Charlie's 28 in body, but really says he, quote, shilled for the infamous P.T. Barnum. And, that's old. That's older than 28. And he's been giving Jay a little taste of magic, or a little gift. Really, it's like a little get you hooked on magic. It's like a little sample bit of cocaine. Remember when you were in like school, and, like everyone was just like, every adult was like, people are gonna try and give you free drugs.
Yeah,
That's
but it's like
basically
no.
what this is.
Yeah,
Never
that
once
does
have
not
I come
happen in
across free
Australia.
drugs.
Like cocaine is like the most expensive in the world in Australia because it's so remote from where it can be made. This is a tent, but that has just like never been the case. It's like
I've
no
never
one is
once been
giving
offered
away
free
drugs. Yeah.
Which is, I guess, good, because that means I've never had the chance to get addicted to drugs, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just not a thing that's happened. Jay refuses because he's horrified by all the death that's been happening, but Charlie insists he's never made this kind of offer before. But he's also never had lifelong friends like Vern and Jay before. They're just like good friends.
Just bros being bros, dudes being friends.
Yeah.
It's a bit confusing. So it's like when he was appearing as 28, he met Jay when he was younger and then just like aged with him.
Yeah, and now he's young again.
That's pretty romantic. Like,
yeah,
an immortal being deciding to appear older.
Roll together.
It's kind of cute. It would be so cute if there wasn't like a death aspect. If there wasn't like an evil magic death aspect happening.
Wow.
The Winchesters show up and Dean gets noose, for lack of an accurate descriptive word for what happened.
He gets yanked.
Yanked is good, yeah. And then Sam shoots Charlie, who grabs the bullet out of the air, and he's like, "Whoa, I was working on that trick," which is fun. I liked that. And then Sam does really bad in the fight and get Table of Death strapped on there, waiting to die. Jay stabs Charlie, slipped a tarot card, the magician Charlie pocket, and Sam and Dean both narrowly escaped their respective death. It's good because they didn't want to die old, but like they didn't want to die today either. They go to the bar to thank Jay, who's offended that they're thanking him for killing his best friend, and we also learned that Vernon didn't speak to him either, so the right thing doesn't.
What's Vernon's deal? Like,
he's really mad that he killed Charlie.
But like, does he not understand the magic situation?
I feel like
the
magic situation was definitely laid out for him. He had all of the conduct to not react like that. But you know what? People differently, and hopefully they'll make up. Sure. Although it did kind of seem like Jay was maybe going off at the end, maybe dying again. Maybe he was back where he started. But he leaves. He's like, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life old and alone. And then he cards, and the bartender like stops him and is like, "Hey, your cards." He tells him to throw them away. Not bad.
Again, old and alone. What, he has no other loved ones in his whole life?
Also,
that's how important.
He's probably gonna live like 30 to 40 more years.
I don't know. He spent a lot of time in a bar. That liver's gonna get him.
That's true. But he's pretty, like, he's doing pretty okay health wise at the moment. So like it's not like he's like on death's door. Unless he is, because he's gonna die.
Just like go down to Florida, you know? Just like
retire.
Go to the beach.
Do magic tricks for people on the beach. That's better than whatever he's doing now. Dean wants a beer because he's deep in his alcoholism in this season. After hell, and Sam's like, "You do that. I'm gonna take a walk. I'll walk to Ruby's mess." He tells Ruby that he's in, and he gets in the car, and he's like, "I don't want to be doing this when I'm an old man." Yeah, like, baby just wants out. He just wants out. But they drive off together, and the episode ends.
It certainly was an episode.
It was an episode.
It certainly was an episode.
It was an episode. It happened. It was more sad than anything else, honestly.
I think that at this point, it's probably the episode that is like the least about the boys. Like, but like obviously there's that thread throughout.
Yeah,
like
we
spend so much time with these other actors. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, last episode was like just strictly Case of the Week, and like it was just like the girl in the walls, and then like a little bit of discussion about how Dean had hell trauma, but like there was no plot about it either. Like,
but they were a bit more involved. Like they were.
They were involved
characters.
in the plot. This plot, like really, when I was my MV, I was like, well, Sam and Dean didn't do much actually.
They almost kind of get in the way more than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Jay maybe would did it if they had like told him about the deaths that were happening. But like other than that, I feel like that was the only useful thing they did, was be like, hey, some people are dying, and it's because of this.
Hey, magic is real.
And I feel like Charlie probably sort of, in not the most truthful way, gotten that covered at the point. So anyway, it's weird to see this so out of order.
Is this the only time that magic is brought up, like magic as a real life concept, like magicians and stuff? I can't think of another time,
unless there's any like, I think any other references to it would be in reference to like Sam having this hobby that we learn about in this episode. I feel like I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I feel like there's like circus reference and like clowns was like magician adjacent.
Not any like magician, like trickster, illusionist kind of thing.
Psychics,
psychics.
but not magicians.
Like mediums.
Like performative, like psychics, like which is not totally the same thing, but like in the same kind of vein of like a thing that is like not supernatural but supernatural.
Yeah, it's a fun concept. I think like it's interesting whenever they kind of tackle something that is like, if magic was real in our world, how would it intertwine?
Yeah,
with
and like
this,
how would like
thing?
this like illusion type thing.
Yeah, it would have been funny if they revealed that like Criss Angel, the person, was actually a witch,
or like actually possessed by a demon.
Yeah, or had done a
The
demon
Paris
deal.
Hilton episode.
Anyway, it's so weird it's out of order. I don't like being out of order. It's really throwing off my game. Is there anything else that we want to talk about before we wrap up?
I don't have notes as I was winging and vibe.
Yeah.
But it feels very much like a hump day episode.
Actually, that is it's in the middle of the season, and like there's stuff happening, and it could be important, or you could just skip it. It wouldn't really make much difference.
Yeah.
Much like a lot of these episodes, honestly, if you just took the last like not even 5 minutes, the last like 2 scenes with like Sam and Ruby and plunked that on the end of the next episode, you'd pretty much be where we're at, or at the beginning of the next episode.
What I really wish someone would do is re-edit Supernatural
with just the plot bits.
Like you can include, I think you can include some filler, like the good filler, like Yellow Fever is a filler episode, I think. Not Yellow Fever. Is that what the episode's called? The one where the Dean gets scared. Yeah. That's not, I don't think, plot heavy. It's a filler episode, but like it's a good filler episode and has good moments.
I mean, you could at least include like the like hallucination of Lilith, like that stuff, because like there's like some like that's kind of our first like indication that Dean really does remember.
So like I think that there is a way.
No, I was thinking this today as well, like a Supernatural where you just have the plot bits, because like there's a lot of episodes. Like Bedtime Stories was like the worst episode of season 3, except for the scene where Sam shot the crossy man in the head, and you could just plunk that on the end of any episode, and it would have made.
There's so much that
it'll
just take so long, but there's got to be a way.
It's just
and you can edit out. So much
there's already someone has done a Dean Cas Natural. It's like all of Dean and Cas, all scenes that are about each other, about the other person. So that person has the skills. They should do,
and presumably the clips.
Yeah, I was literally talking about this like 2 days ago. That's so funny.
Even if you, I feel like
my partner hasn't watched any, and he was like, I would just watch that if that exists.
Yeah, just do like the first 5 Kripke era. Like that's a movie.
You could just cut out season 2 almost entirely.
Yeah, I mean, like we've all the establishing stuff in season 1. It's like, I guess it depends like how many how many side plots you want to include as plot relevant. Like I would probably include some just for like Gordon. I would probably include Gordon side plot in there, but it's not necessary.
And like Joe and Ellen and stuff.
I just get so angry about Gordon and the vampire AIDS parallel that Sarah Gamble. I just get so violently angry about it that I just like, I could go without it. Cut it. I know it's important, but to me it's just like, you could just cut it.
We are mid really Sarah Gamble era at the moment, and I need to have a word with her. Like something up there is not right.
And then what she did on The Magician, I'm like, something.
Is Sarah Gamble solely responsible for like the end of
I don't know if she's solely responsible, but she was the showrunner.
But like that is her thing, right? Like that's her thing. Like, she's the showrunner. That's wow. I mean, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, because like showrunning after Eric Kripke left like must have been difficult, but like oh boy.
This is not to be like, I don't want to claim something that I don't know about Sarah Gamble, because I don't know her as a person, and this is just based off of her art, but there is something so sinister about telling stories and like metaphors about queerness, like active metaphors about queerness. Like the vampire AIDS parallel was like a active thing that she did.
That's exactly how I feel with Harry Potter. Like that's why I think like no matter what you feel about J.K. Rowling,
it's almost the same. Yeah, it's the same thing where she like actively chose to make vampire an AIDS parallel and a parallel to gay people, and then what she did with actual confirmed out queer characters in The Magician. Like, well, actually, let's be real. He was never confirmed to be bisexual. What's face? He acted bisexual. It was whole thing. And there's just something so sinister about pretending to tell queer stories and then telling harmful queer stories, or being harmful with the queer narrative, like that. And I don't don't know anything about her. Who knows? There's just something sinister about that, and it drives me insane.
Yeah. I think when you with this show, looking at different writers, they really had an opportunity to have their own lens on every episode. Like that's why it's like it's so distinct between writers, and like quality can be so different. And yeah, there's definitely choices that she made that were choices that were like very irresponsible. And it's like crazy because it's like you think, oh well, Kripke must have been worse, but like I don't know. I don't think so. I think even he, like, it was more just like the sign of the times. But she, yeah, very kind of actively made weird decisions. But yeah, don't know her.
Don't know her.
But yeah, I'm just yeah.
We're always open to any supernatural writers, producers, crew people. My door and my inbox always
love to sit down with you, Sarah Gamble. Love to pick your brain.
I'd love to know. I'd like to give you the platform to set the record straight about some things. If there's some things that you think have been missed fairly, did you have an
I remember so little about this episode.
Do you want us to come back to you?
I don't know. Maybe just John Rubinstein, because he's the only one I can remember. I know he was the villain, but he was very busy.
Okay. He did do stuff. I guess he was important, technically.
MVP really killed those people. Good job.
Ella, how about you?
Sorry, I was just checking my notes to see what I wrote. So,
okay.
so because like again, I think as soon as I wrote it, it just deleted from my head. I think mine is the chief.
Yep, fair. Really doing a lot.
That was mine too.
I think I forgot about it. To me, there's this thing that I always remember, and that's what I wanted to look up and double check. Is on the trivia section on the page, it says the chief is the first LGBT character to appear in the show who was not killed within the episode of his introduction.
I was gonna say that's not true, but then you added that last bit on it. Yeah, I think that could definitely be true.
Oh my gosh, he deserves recognition for that.
Truly,
honestly,
he's a punchline, but he's
no
an icon.
idea that was in this episode. I've watched so much Supernatural, but I always skip this episode. So I was like, I know that, like, I don't remember where that is. I never like see it. It must be an episode I don't like.
Yeah,
consensual
really nice leather daddy king. They try to make him a joke, but he's just great.
And I thought it was really nice. Actually, he seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah.
JJ, how about you?
It was also the chief. It's because, you know, like the safe word being Impala is such a huge thing in fandom culture, and like you can almost see, I don't think that this is what Jensen was going for, but like what it looks like is that he asks for the safe word, and it's like you can see Jensen as acting like
thinking.
If Dean is thinking, the word pops into his, like he's going to answer and then goes.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's pretty. We've seen Dean be a pretty. I mean, we haven't seen a lot of Dean with partners before, but it does feel like he's the guy I'd part with. Like that just feels like his vibe. It definitely feels like something he would have ready to go.
Probably had a safe word with that Amazon stuff.
No, we haven't gotten to that yet, but
it's not a huge spoiler. Like they were gonna do it eventually.
Jensen must just have like rest sub face or something. Like I don't think he's trying to do that.
He's definitely not trying to do that.
It's the Disney princess eyes.
Yeah, he's just like okay, at all times.
Yeah, like he's a little bit scared, but he's also a little bit curious.
Yeah, it has to be cheap. That's also the only lasting thing of this show, this episode. I feel like this is the only thing that I think about when I think about this episode.
Yeah, I gave it to Jay. Oh my god, this is making my other section very complicated. I gave it to Jay. I feel like, you know, it was a big deal for him to stab his friend. And it's not like Sam and Dean were really doing anything much this episode.
Yeah, it was mostly focused on the old Jish and
but yeah, that's where I lived, and I've lost my notes. Bechdel test. Did we have 2 named women in this episode? No, we did not. We had 3 women in this episode, but 2 of them were unnamed. For like Ruby's the only one who has a name. The bartender and the assistant don't have names. So great time. Love it. Supernatural, you're doing great as always.
At least they have jobs.
Meredith, I feel like I gave a good Criss Angel background off the top, but I know you have some other notes to add for our mythology section. What do you have for
I
us?
wrote a few sentences, like a couple paragraphs on eternal youth and immortality. I'm pretty sure that was like the objective for the villain. Okay. I didn't have time to make more extensive notes, but honestly, you could write dozens of books on this concept. Humans have been dreaming about eternal youth and immortality for thousands thousands of years, probably longer than we have evidence for. In fact, one of the oldest recorded stories in human history deals with this concept. The Epic of Gilgamesh is over 4,000 years old, and the second half of it is about the title character, King Gilgamesh, trying to find the secret of eternal life after his friend Enkidu dies. Then you have Greek gods eating ambrosia and drinking nectar to stay young forever, Norse gods with the apples of Eden, the 8 immortals in Chinese mythology, and a whole host of other immortals. Many were born that way, like the gods, but some, like the Chinese immortals and Psyche in Greek mythology, attained immortality through something they ate or did. This was often seen as a good thing, something to aspire to, though immortality has also been as a punishment. Remember the story of Cain and Abel, the Abrahamic religion. Going back to Greek mythology, we have Tithonus. Tithonus was the lover of Eos, the goddess of the dawn, and she asked the god to make him immortal, but forgot to ask for eternal youth. So he continued to age for a very long time until he got too annoying and Eos turned him into a cicada naturally. Actually, the version I read said like he used to like wander the halls like muttering to himself, and she was just like, oh my gosh, you're so annoying, I'm gonna turn you into a loud bug. Yes, exactly. That's what gods are like. They break up with you. Nowadays, we have many stories exploring the ins and outs of immortality. Tuck Everlasting immediately comes to mind as a story.
I love Tuck Everlasting.
There's a Broadway musical too.
I didn't
look
know
at
that.
It. Find bootlegs. Cut that out. I'm not advocating for illegal. Anyway, Tuck Everlasting immediately comes to mind as a story where eternal life is the main focus, and it's also one of the main themes of Twilight. Never read it, but I know a lot of. But honestly, it is.
I feel like we needed like Twilight specific outfit. There was a time in like season 1 and 2 where we could not do an episode of the show without talking about Twilight. I feel like we should have
just invite Audrey back just to talk about it. I think she has so many thoughts. Honestly, though,
it's the season though, like the fall. We're heading into the fall.
That's a good time.
Yeah, I mean
honestly,
that filter. You just
you slap a blue filter on it. Right? Yeah.
It's
slap
iconic.
The grainy supernatural filter on it.
No,
Audrey hates the movie, but
I mean, yeah, I get it.
Honestly, though, it is so easy to find fantasy stories that deal with immortality to some degree. Like Lord of the Rings has the elves, and The Last Unicorn has the unicorn, Doctor Who has the doctor, and plenty of other stories have their fairies, vampires, gods, eldritch horrors, humans that messed with Arctic force. Eternal youth and eternal life are two concepts that are intertwined. They have endured from the beginning of human imagination, it's like. So in conclusion, lots of people want to live forever for some reason, I guess.
Except Zayn and Taylor Swift.
I said lots, not everybody.
Some
of us are completely fine with mortality.
If anybody,
the
in
song
my
just
opinion, should have
flew
immortality.
through my head immediately. Everyone wants it. So many people want it, and I was like, not Zayn, not Taylor. That song just boom.
If there's one human being currently on the planet that I think should have immortality, though, it really should have. I feel like imagine the songs that Taylor Swift would write like 100 years ago.
I just want that so I can see what happens in like 2,000 years when people are just like, and she has been wandering the plains of existence for all this time. This ageless bard. Could have legends about her. She'll still do a concert.
I mean, I feel like even then, I still would be able to get tickets. She could do
if you're a ghost
for 100 years, and I feel like I still would.
If you're a ghost, you don't have to get tickets. You can just crash it.
That's where I'm haunting, not wherever I die. I'm haunting whatever stadium.
You'll just haunt Taylor Swift, like as a person.
She should have her privacy.
Every time her cats do that thing where they like randomly stare into the corner, we'll know what happened.
Next up is our highlight and our low light. Meredith, do you have a highlight and a low light of this episode?
Low light is that I didn't think to watch it before recording and I can't remember most of it. Highlight
it's valid. It's pretty forgettable.
Highlight is magicians. I like magicians on TV. I've never actually gone to see it.
You should find that not like thing that you would not want to do. But if that's something you'd be interested
one
in doing,
one came to my elementary school once. That was fun. I've never like intentionally gone to see
magicians actually. Ella, do you have a highlight and a low light?
Okay. Low light is just, I guess, like we were talking about earlier, the concept of this episode in general, where it's just so not about the boys, even though it's trying to be like the guy.
It's trying a little bit too hard, I think. It's not landing.
Yeah. Is it Jay? He's like, he calls the other guy his brother like twice, and he's like looking in Dean's eyes.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we get it. Like he had to kill his brother. He doesn't want to kill his brother.
It is a little bit heavy-handed.
So yeah, that's the low light. Also Cas not being there.
Yeah,
Points
fair.
lost always. Highlight would probably be like there's a conversation that Sam and Dean have that I also didn't like really realize was in this episode where I say highlight, but it's very upsetting. Like Dean saying that he hopes he dies before he gets old, like quoting the Who generation.
Yeah.
But then he's like bloody or sad, that's just life. And I just wrote in my notes killing myself. Because I just hate when they talk like that. But yeah, I think I like how that worked out with Ruby Station.
Fair. JJ, how about you?
Highlight for me, the three old men. I love watching old people act on television and in like as like day players because like they're so good, but they don't often get to do they don't get to play a lot of roles all the time. Like some of them are consistent and others like I think about Murder, She Wrote, how they specifically hired older actors so that they could have health insurance.
I love Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, Angela Lansbury specifically got them to hire older actors so that because they were running out of work, they couldn't get hired so that
lovely.
they could have health insurance.
Yeah, like we live in a very ageist society where older actors just lose their relevance. They get older, their careers.
Yeah, I mean the end is
even in this episode, like Sam and Dean are
I
like,
mean
they're old and they're like they're 60. That's not
well,
that
that's
old.
actually one of the themes of the
God,
episode is that these guys are older and they don't really have the careers that they used to.
Yeah, that's the only thing that happened to their careers. They didn't like really lose any of their ability, like maybe for some very specific tricks, but like they're still doing like they still have the same ability, same magic. Like people just aren't interested in coming to see them because they're old. And like there's nothing else. Like Jean asked what happened to Jay's career. It sounds like he just got old.
It's lovely to see them. It's lovely to see them work,
Yes.
and it's lovely to see them because again they're really good. Like they're good actors, and I like watching this.
I felt for them emotionally in this episode.
Yeah,
like...
it just makes me happy.
They all have massive.
I know that John Rubinstein and Barry Bostwick played Jay. Like I've seen both of them in many other shows that I've watched, and also Michael Weston, who plays like the younger version of like Charlie, is actually John Rubinstein's son. So, and I've seen him a whole bunch of other places too.
Yeah,
I love when they have like family members
like
play older and younger versions. I think it's
a
so
practice
cute.
that should be happening. That should happen more.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a kid and they're also an actor and you need someone to play a young version of you, like...
So Michael Weston was on Elementary as like one of the worst characters, but he portrayed him so.
Yeah, that's what I know him from too. I was
it's Oscar.
Yeah, that was the highlight, and then low light is the conversation about how they are going to die young. I just feel really sad listening. Like I understand why it's a highlight for you, Elle, but it's a low light for me. I sit.
Shut up! Just shut. Like stop talking about it.
Stop talking about it. No, no.
That was literally my low light because when they go into that conversation, Dean very specifically is like, "Wow, I hope I die before I get." Please act like you want to live, my guy. You were just dead. You've only been alive for 12 episodes.
You did die young.
Maybe I'm like
that
a
happened.
masochist. Whatever.
Dean says, "I think we both already died young." Yeah,
like
you did,
more than once.
Like you each died young at least once. Like maybe you don't want to do that again. Maybe you want to put that experience off a little bit longer. My highlight, and I don't know if I'd really I don't know. It's hard to call this my favorite part of the episode enjoyment wise, but I really like that Sam and Ruby have this conversation and then Sam turns around with Dean and repeats Ruby's words like verbatim. The levels of manipulation happening on the Ruby storyline are cool, and I always just want to like wrap my baby boy Sammy in a blanket, keep him safe, but because I can't do that, I'm really here to see his own arrogance like through him.
It is fun to watch.
If I can't have one thing, then I want the other.
I am not. I prefer the Ruby relationship in season 3 to season 4. Personally, I know that that might be a hot take, but I do love watching the subtle the subtle ways that they do it for the manipulation, because like that is just a smart way to do it.
I really like both the Rubies, and I do try my best now to think of them as like one character, because they are at the end of the day, but it's hard.
I think both I hold both actresses, like well, I'm a huge fan of Katie, just like in general, but like I think both actresses do a great job, and it's more about just like the way that they approach the relationship. I prefer in season 3 to season 4, but like there's so much subtlety that happens in 4 that's just kind of delicious.
I do often wonder if it would have been so sexual between Sam and Ruby if Jared and Jen weren't like literally in the process of falling in love. Like I feel like the writers maybe like leaned into that a little bit hard as
we talked
Jen
about
and
this a little
Jared
bit when we were doing season 4. It's like
had chemistry.
It's very funny that it's like a lot of their first and stuff seem to be like on camera. Now they're just like still together. It's like we shouldn't be seeing that. Like when they, when things happen,
like
it's real and it's
yeah,
personal.
yeah.
Strangely,
because it's real.
I get I totally say it feels personal with Jen and Jared, but going over to Melissa Benoist and Chris Wood on Supergirl, falling in love on that show, I get the opposite feeling where it's like this is the most delightful because we're watching their characters fall in love and we're watching them fall in love, and it's so sweet and so
see, that could be really cute,
right?
So cute. But like Jen and Jared, it's like
I do often like a real life couple. Like Once Upon a Time was truly iconic. Snow White and Prince Charming got married.
Then you watch Grimm, and like the two of the main actors eventually got married on that show, but their characters started out the series as a couple, and then she turned evil and tried to kill everyone, so they killed her. And they're still together.
I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna make a joke, but at the end of it, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna show restraint and follow my own fucking rules.
I'm trying to like remember where we're up to in them, but
we know that they're sleeping together. We've already
the Sam fucks episode and then the Dean fucks episode just kind of happened, right?
Our next segment is Call CPS. Call CPS. I think we're good. Like there was no kids involved in this episode, so I think we're okay to just be like John's piece of shit and we're
like
on.
The opposite.
Firing squad. I think everyone did their job. I don't think we need to fire anybody.
I do think the chief, while he did ask for a safe word, you should have a more extensive conversation about boundaries before going into a BDSM scene.
Good point, actually. And the guy that brought Dean down, like, ask any questions about Dean to like make sure that like the chief. I mean, the chief seems like a very large guy. That doesn't mean that like he can't have like a hate crime done to him. Like,
there's a lot of safety issues that I had.
Yeah,
in that whole
that I agree. Like that door guy, like really didn't ask enough questions, and there was not enough boundaries placed. I agree.
You're telling me that maybe Supernatural was a bit shit at exploring a sexual like concept? Is that what you're telling me?
Outside of what is socially
do
acceptable?
their research.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh
great on the line about asking for a safe word, sure, but like we got some other things that we got to get to through first. That is not the first thing that you said.
Maybe we missed like maybe after that there was like a 10-minute conversation and like maybe they like and Dean was trying to get out of it, but he it was back and forth. I wish we didn't see that.
That's exactly what it is. There was a whole they sat down, they wrote things down.
It's specifically not just like a sexual encounter, like it's specifically like a kink encounter. So like there should be more conversations happening about about boundaries and expectations. I agree. Thank you. Because I would not have brought it up. Mental health check. I'm not a psychologist. This segment is based purely on my own opinions. We can reminder that if you're struggling with anything at all, please reach out for help. This week, not good for the mental health. There was a lot of talk about suicide, like a lot, and about like what like life is like. I understand the like magic like and like performing is like what you like value in your life and it's like important to you, but like it can't be your whole self-worth because that's never gonna go well. There's always gonna be a point where like you're not famous enough to fulfill that desire. Things were not healthy there. And then Sam and Dean just expecting to die. It's all kinds of not great. Again, act like you would like to be alive. Please, for my sake, act like you want to live. And then also like if you really have the expectation that you're not going to die, like that encourages like a level of risk taker because what's it matter? You're not gonna make it any like you might as well smoke cigarettes, bathe in toxic waste because you're never gonna live long enough to get cancer unless you do.
Now I'm just spiraling about the rest of the show in my mind.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, like Jay and Charlie and Vernon, like not feeling like their lives are worth living. They've gotten to and their careers have taken a turn. It's not ideal. They don't love it for them.
No work-life balance.
And like you just shouldn't be defining your whole like life's work.
I feel like your job. I don't know. So something I see with people who work in the arts is they they will kind of define their lives by their careers. Like the arts it's a very passionate field. It's something you do because you are interested in it, not for the money.
Yeah, it definitely felt like there was like like magic is so dependent on the audience. Like it's not a thing that you do for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Like,
you know the trick.
Yeah, you practice a lot, but like it's still even if you have the like mechanics of it perfect, it doesn't work. There's
it's
not
a performance.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to linger on this. It's sad. I'm sad.
Let's move on, guys.
Soul Transaction, I don't think technical writing, a lot of like technical, like what Charlie's deal was, but
yeah, it reminded me of a certain character we meet later on,
yes,
and their circumstances, and I wonder if it is the same magic.
Yeah, we just don't really know.
Yeah, they never clarify
what the deal is. So I'm gonna say no for now, with the absence of an explanation. Sam's traumatic brain injury. Sam not great in a fight, but didn't hit his head, so good for him.
Good for him.
No, Brandon. Although I kind of wish he had some. So explain some decisions he made this episode. One-on-one time with Cas. No one-on-one time with Cas. It's not here. No update on his powers. Eyes off the hostages. There was a very specific eyes off the hostage moment this week. Sam and Dee tied Jay to a chair, and then they got too busy fighting, and the camera does a little like sloop-de-sloop, and Jay's gone.
I do like the reaction to it though.
I feel like they as people who are constantly being tied to chairs and getting out because people like don't think that they are going to get out, even though that should just be an assumption people make it, but them especially people who know who they are really should have thought, I bet you a magician can probably get out. Like this guy got out of a straitjacket last night. We literally watched him.
You think he can get out of ropes?
We watched this guy get out of a straitjacket and save his own life. I feel like, yeah, we should have just anticipated that he would be able to untie his own chair, but whatever. They're not always the smartest people.
Should have had Bobby.
Any suggestions on what we named episode? And I will know.
The one with the chief.
I know. The one with the chief. That's pretty good.
And the Magicians. That sounds like a band.
Yeah, like a 70s psych rock
I would
band.
listen.
Honestly, I feel like we don't even need to come up with any others. I feel like that might just be it.
Yeah.
We don't need to brainstorm anything else.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
I mean, I feel like that is the most defining moment of this episode. So
when you do it, like put Chief in all caps. He deserves it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, then we're gonna finish off this week's episode with line of the week. Meredith, did you have a line of the week?
I don't know. Probably just them reacting to Jay escaping from the rope. Like, you should have expected. You're right. You should have.
I gotta agree with that one. It's either the reaction of Jay escaping or it's what's your safe word? It's one of the two.
That's fair. Ella, how about you?
It was hard. I feel like this episode's not very witty compared to a lot of season 4. They were getting on a real roll of mixing the comedy and the seriousness. I liked I think I've been had and then you haven't been had by the chat. That was fun.
That is, I mean, that's like pretty iconic. I think mine is Sam was like tailing Jay and then like lost him and he was like, how'd you lose him? He's 60. And Sam's like, he's an illusionist.
He has tricks. That's his whole thing.
Sam was like so just like upset that I think he did a good job.
I did my best. He's just wily.
Yeah, okay.
Way off.
Now I mean bring us back in, KJ, so you know when to come back in. Ella, where can people find you if they want to find you?
Well, if you've started season 4 with KJ and you're like, who's this Cas guy? What's he about? Or you finished the show and you have good taste, then you might like my podcast, The Cas Cast. Me and my co-host, also Jess, we're on a little bit of a break because we had a bunch of like real life heck stuff happening at the same time, but we're mid-season, so it worked out well. But yeah, that's where you can find me mainly on the internet. I'm also most active on Tumblr, but you can find me. I'm not going to say my URL. I think I said it last time and it's so embarrassing to say out loud. But yeah, we are on Twitter. We are on Twitter, but yeah, we don't really use it. None of us are people. But yeah, that's where I am online.
JJ, where can people find you?
You can find me on TikTok and Twitter, and by the time this releases, Threads. I don't know if Twitter will still exist. Who knows by that.
Twitter might be long gone, but it is still like barely hanging on. At
mostly you can find me on TikTok at jjbwaywatch.
And Instagram, we were like, maybe let's make an Instagram. Why not?
I had Instagram and I'd post on it after episode 1. But it's fine. Ella, it's so funny. I sent you like a link or a screenshot to your own Tumblr post one day because I literally laughed out loud at one of your Tumblr posts and then I was like went to repost it and then I was like I feel like I know that URL. Like, that's somebody I know. And then I was like, who is it? And I was like, is it like a Pod Squad person? I was like, no, it's not a Pod Squad person, but it's a Supernatural podcast person. But
it's, yeah, it's not really, it's like a very niche fandom joke. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense unless you were like online on Tumblr, like in this like certain month in like 2021. And I can't, now I'm like so attached to it.
Anyway, thank you both for joining. So flexible and fitting me in to your
Thank you for having
schedules.
us.
It's always nice to have you both. I'm sure there'll be more opportunities as we get through season 4. There's a few more episodes that don't have people attached to them. So I'm sure I'll be in the Discord like, hey, who wants
That's
Feel free
cool
to
with
come
me.
back
That's
as
cool
many
with
times
me.
as you want.
Sure. I'm getting back into my Supernatural era. I've been gone for so long.
Not to make every show a fall show, but Supernatural.
That's fair.
Kind of a fall show, you know.
I refuse to talk about anything pre-season 4 though. 'Cause I don't.
Well, we're out of that era,
it's
so
perfect.
we're all good. No, well, I mean, yeah, we'll have to have you both on more. It's been great.
Absolutely.
I've been KJ, and this has been Supernatural Opinions. If you enjoyed our show, the best thing you can do is subscribe on your podcast app of choice and tell a friend. Check out our link tree in the episode description for all of our social media and any other Supernatural-related projects we might be working on. Send us an email. Our address is supernaturalopinionspodcast@gmail.com, or reach out directly at KJ, at @KJ on all platforms. Thank you to Joe Veretta for our theme song, and our logo was created by Faith Ebert of faithanddesigns.ca. The episode was recorded, edited, and produced by me, Ed and KJ. If you want to hear more from me, you can check out my other podcast, Series of Opinions. And last but not least, a huge thank you to all of our guests.
Some things in this world are supernatural. What we need is a savior.